What's happening, Pokemon people? My name is Nick. I'm back here just discussing some more Pokemon TCGO today. I wanted to talk a little bit about the deck I ran yesterday in that video, the Mega Gallade EX and the Fortress. And I have it pulled up here. I just wanted to discuss some of or break down the deck a little bit and talk about it. I played a person I test decks with last night, and I back-to-back this Mega Gallade and the Toxapex GX deck that I played on a few videos back. And he was just like, man, what are you making over there? I tore him up. And he was running a pretty good deck. He was running Malamar Sleep Poison deck. So it was a fun time, but I just wanted to get into it a little more and talk about this deck because, like I said in the video yesterday, I've just had fantastic results with it. So I am running my Shaman, and once you open up with Skyfield, and we'll talk about the trainers a little more later, Shaman can bring out more Hoopas, a Bridget, just a fan club, just things that you really need to deck out your bench. The Pineco and the Fortress are self-explanatory. I'm running 3 of each. Typically, I get 1 Fortress down. And the reason I say I only get 1 down on a typical basis is because 1 ends up in my discard pile. I usually either discard it away, or it is my sacrifice at the beginning of the game while I'm setting up my bench. And 1 usually gets trapped in my prize cards. I don't know why I consistently see that happen, but it's always there. Next, I run my 2 Hoopa. And this is great because if I open the game with a Hoopa in hand and a Gallade up front, or even a Pineco up front, I can get my 5 Pokemon out on my bench just like that. It's done. Then I'm just worried about energies and getting some fresh hands out. I don't traditionally run multiple Hoopas. I don't traditionally run Hoopas at all anymore. The card's kind of been phased out. Its popularity's really dropped off here. But when you're running some of these older expanded decks, Hoopa is an asset. And I think I have overall, that's nice. I think I overall have 4 or 5 of the Hoopas. I don't have any full arts right now, but I plan to hold on to them. They may have dropped in value, but with what we're doing in expanded, it's really necessary. I'm running 3 of each Gallade and Mega Gallade EX. And once again, just for safety, usually only 2 Mega Gallades are really required. You could switch them in and out and kind of let them do the work. The third one is just, I'm running 4 regular Gallade EX, and that's just for safety. But the third one is just there just in case I'm facing a psychic deck or something and I'm weak to it and it starts really laying some damage out on me. In the trainer side, I was running a couple Evo Sodas, and I kind of settled down on it with Hoopa, really bringing my Mega Gallades out. If they're in my deck and not in my prize cards, I will get them. But there's no doubt about it. Evo Soda is there for an emergency. It does not do anything for my Pineco Fortress. Fortress has to be evolved from your hand. So, after a couple times playing, I realized that and realized that it wasn't really benefiting me. So I dropped down to 1. Just have there to be safe. I'm running 2 switches, obviously to keep my Gallades fresh. De-Evolution Spray. De-Evolution Spray is cool in this deck because, and I only run 1. At one point I had 3 or 4 in there, if you get 2 Pineco on the bench and you got 1 Fortress, access to 1 Fortress, you can evolve 1 Pineco this turn, do your 10 damage across the board, and then next turn you can use the Devolution Spray, evolve the other Pineco. Because once you use the Devolution Spray, it prevents that Pokemon cannot evolve this turn. So it prevents it from evolving again. So having 2 Pineco is really a big advantage there. 3 First Seeker, VS Seeker, just great to have. It allows me to run less supporter cards, and for a couple months I wasn't running VS Seeker a lot, not too heavily, and then I just really got behind it, and now it's become a staple in my decks. And I know a lot of people are hesitant with VS Seeker with Garbodor action happening, but I haven't seen a lot of that. I mean, I think it's pretty settled down now. 2 Energy Switch, for obvious reasons. If you watched the video yesterday, you saw how they can be so impactful. A Scramble Switch. I'd run 4 of those if I was allowed. That's just an excellent card. I think I'm using that primarily in my expanded decks right now. I do have in my Mega Steelix deck, I'm using Rock Guard. And the reason I'm using Rock Guard there instead of Scramble Switch is just to allow myself to build energy on Steelix. It really makes the opponent cautious. But if Rock Guard didn't exist and opponents knew they could get rid of it pretty quick with a Field Blower or whatever, I'd be using Scramble Switch in that deck for sure. It's probably my favorite ace spec card. Skyfield, for obvious reasons, allows me to lay up to 8 Pokemon on my bench. Dimension Valley is key here. Once Skyfield goes away, or if it hasn't come out yet, Dimension Valley can be effective second turn. You know, you lay an energy on Gallade, then maybe a Spirit Link as well, and then your Dimension Valley. Next turn, you're set up to use Unwavering Blade. 2 energies, that's it. You're doing 110 damage. If you have a Fortress involved, you're doing damage across the board. Second turn. Kukui is just to get that little extra, that oomph, and obviously draw support there. It's really taken the place of Giovanni's Scheme. Giovanni's Scheme doesn't even exist in any of my decks anymore, and I just always keep 1 Kukui on hand. Typically, not always. Bridget is for when I do get that Skyfield out. I have my Hoopas laid out, but I'm still searching for Pineco. Bridget will be there to back me up. Is it Lysander or Lysandre? I've known it as Lysander for a long time. I've heard it called Lysandre. We'll call it Lysander because it's easier to say, and I like it better. Lysander, obvious reasons, effective. You can use it. VS Seeker, use it again. It's important. If you're not running Lysander, you haven't seen the need for it, try it. You will find the need pretty quickly. And obviously, Fresh Hands, beautiful card. That's probably the thing that drove me to end at first. I wasn't using a lot of draw support cards when I first started playing the game, and I think you'll see that with novice players. They just want to get out there and do damage. In Sycamore, both up front here, and Lysander, you gotta have them. And the VS Seekers just compound these cards. Karen has become huge in Expanded. And the big reason there is if you do run into the Night March. And I talked a little bit about that in a earlier video where I've come across the Night March, watched my opponent spill 30 cards into his discard pile. Karen then watch him struggle to spill 20 more cards into the discard pile, and Karen again, and it's over. You know, there's only so much your opponent running Night March can do if you're running this supporter. And if you haven't seen this before, pick one up in public trading. I think you can get it for like a couple uncommon chests or a Sun and Moon pack or something. Each player shuffles all Pokemon in his or her discard pile into his or her deck. So both players shuffle them all back in, and it kind of works as a Brock's Grit Light, but it really affects the opponent if they're running a Night March type deck, or they're trying to get they're running Ultra Balls and trying to get Pokemon from their discard pile onto their bench. It just really slows them down. Brock's Grit here, speaking of which, I've heard a lot of people say, it's not really that great. I'm going to tell you right now, I use Brock's Grit in almost every one of my decks. It supplements for an energy recycler, a Karen. It does, well, not fully a Karen, but it's a little different. But it's important, especially if you're starting to get some drawing going, you're starting to get a hand going, and you've seen some of your prize cards dwindle. Brock's Grit is extremely important. Another Sycamore there. I like that one honestly better than the the full art. He's prettier in it. Pokemon Center ladies, obvious reasons. I run 2 VS Seeker if I need more. Another N, and then my Spirit Links. I'm only running the 3 Spirit Links because I'm only running the 3 Mega Glades. But and then energy-wise, I'm running 15 in this deck, and I've got the double colorless energy in there in case I do need to actually use Shaman. But I if you watch the earlier video, as I said again, you will see me attach it to Mega Gallade in a pinch. Mystery Energy, once again, switch support, and then my 12 basic energies. I don't have any trouble keeping this deck energized. I don't have any trouble keeping cards in my hand or cards out of my discard pile. I don't have a lot of trouble if I get stuck with cards in prize, and that's why I do run these energies. I just picked up my 5 event tickets, tournament tickets, whatever they are. What are they? Promo event tickets from the versus rewards down here. So I do want to go ahead and give this deck a shot in an event. If I get knocked out first round, whatever, just for fun anyway, right? But we'll look at the prizes here in just a second. So the rewards for this event are 3 Dark Explorers and 3 Furious Fists. I haven't opened a lot of Dark Explorers. I'm not even familiar really with what's absolutely great in that set. Furious Fists, I could live without them. They'll probably get traded away for something. But the Dark Explorers I will be opening if I get to them. I do need to get at least 3rd to 4th place to see any packs. Other than that, I'm getting uncommon chests and tokens. And here we go. Tails never fails. And I do like to go first in this deck because I like to get energy going. And I will get energy going. My opponent here is playing a Dark Fairy deck. Also, one thing, guys, you will notice I have changed some of the camera settings in this video. I went back and watched some of my videos before, and they're not blurry, but they're a little grainy. They're hard to read on a bigger screen. So I went ahead and I messed with the camera settings a little bit. Turned out my FPS was down a little bit, my quality was down a little bit, so I went ahead and adjusted there, and I did some testing with it, and it looks a little bit better. We'll see how this turns out. I'm not running the webcam today to show me playing, and that's just because I'm a hot mess, honestly. No one wants to see all this. I'm not going to release Skyfield out yet because we're seeing Xerneas in front of us, and I wasn't sure I was going to pick up a Hoopa at all, but I did. And I will run Skyfield just for that. And we'll go ahead and pick up a Shaman here too. Draw support on this deck is just unreal. And the funny thing is that I haven't really drawn dead. I haven't really drawn out to where game is over. And first turn. And my opponent's just passing on to me. I'm going to end away, and hopefully we can pick up a Mega Gallade here, or a Hoopa, and a Dimension Valley, and then we will be essentially saying goodbye, which we didn't, but that's fine. We're going to do a little damage anyway. Alright. Now, this, depending on what's happening, I just gave him a fresh hand as well. Depending on what's happening this next turn, I'm going to likely set an energy down on Gallade. Actually, it looks like I am. He's using his supporter there. And I'll end away again. I would Lysander up that Pidgeot. I don't want to do any damage to that quite yet until I get some more energies on the field. If you're unfamiliar, Pidgeot has Mirror Move, and it will do everything back to me that I do to it for, I think, 1 energy. What she's set up for. Okay. We will likely end again after this turn, just because I'm not getting another fortress. And 2 of them could be locked up in prize cards. I doubt 2 of them are in there. And all these ends is keeping my opponent off balance. He can't really plan his next turn. Taurus being out is danger zone. I haven't seen much of that. And actually, it's going to cause me some trouble here, depending on if he brings it up or not. Okay, good. We will be safe for this turn. Do I want to? Yeah. Yeah, because if I was gonna Sycamore, but if I brought in that Lysander, brought Taurus up, he could switch out, and then I'm in a lot of trouble with. Or if I Sycamored, I need that Lysander. Excuse me. In case Taurus does come up. Oh boy, 2 of them. I got the Pokemon music in my ears, jamming again. I'm glad I don't have the camera on right now. And that's just just fine. How do I want to do this one here? Yeah, I'll sacrifice the Mega Gallade. I don't like to, but I need to get some damage on that Tauros before I get at it. Hopefully I can pull a Lysander here and just be done with that. I'll use Gallade's Piercing Prizes. At this point it's doing 150 damage, so that'll definitely take care of that one right there. Mock Cyclone is just such a powerful attack. It's pretty crazy. I have a playset of the Pidgeot, Mega Pidgeot EX. I definitely want to get something going with that. I've used it in decks in the past just as support, but there we go. That's a thing of beauty right there. Now the problem is that I only need to do 50 more damage to Mega Pidgeot. It is going to knock out my Gallade up front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed it some Fortress for a couple turns while I get my Gallade back on the bench powered up. And this way, hopefully I can knock Mega Pidgeot out. If not, short video, no love lost. I mean, we see what this deck can do. And we'll just sacrifice that away. I am in a tough spot right now. That's okay. Luckily, Tauros can't really lay any damage on me quite yet. Ooh, but Pidgeot can. Tough decision here. That probably was the wrong move. I likely should have switched into Hoopa and saved that scramble switch. It might have been a little bit of a misplay. We'll see what we can draw top deck though. It could be Lifesaver. Do you want to switch me? No. Okay. Alright, well, we honestly just allowed him to take an extra turn and put some damage on Hoop, but I could have done that last turn. Misplay, but they happen. I'm not sad about it. What will he do? He can pull Tauros out. And that's what he'll do. The problem there is, unless he has a Kukui, Tauros is wide open now. Although Amanda Buzz is on the bench. Alright. It's gonna be detrimental to him. It could be detrimental to us too. Let's give it a shot. Oh man, tense match. If he doesn't have his energy in hand, I can evolve into Mega Gallade at this point, which he doesn't, unless he's pulling a shame. No, he can't. Wow. I think we're gonna... I didn't even see that coming. Very nice. Very good for him. Well, guys, I just wanted to show you that video, show you that deck, and I think it's a really good deck. I've had a lot of fun with it. Losing in this event, no big deal. It's an expanded event, which I think typically means it's tougher to win. You're going to see a lot more decks you're not used to seeing in the expanded format. There's no traditional, you know, we're like Legacy. We're gonna run Victini or Celebi decks. You're not gonna see much of that in expanded. You might see your occasional Night March, but it's always kind of a curveball, as we saw there. But we got to review the deck a little bit, and you know, if you're interested, add me on TCGO and we can talk about it a little more. I'm more than happy to talk to anybody. Let's see what that trade was real quick. I'm always excited about these because typically when I'm trading, I'm actually digging for stuff for decks. So it's just a Lunala. No big deal. Okay, great. Well, thank you guys for watching, and we'll be back tomorrow with another video. Hoping to run Mega Steelix, so I will see you then.